Salutations, and welcome back to Casual Conversations with Chandra, where we discuss a multitude of things. So today I'm going to be discussing my most recent family reunion. So this is the Sassborder Schweitzer family reunion, and every year for the last 40 years we've met in a different city. This year we had our reunion in Alexandria, Virginia, and that was a really nice place, and I enjoyed it. And we also traveled um, for a family excursion to Washington, D.C. And one of the first stops on the excursion, on the tour rather, was Howard University. And it felt so surreal for me to be at Howard University. I was like, yes. So I have a graduate degree, but I didn't attend the HCBU, and I always wanted to have that experience. So I'm like, wow, I'm at Howard. This is the Howard I hear about on TV. This is the Howard that I hear about on TV shows and I read in books, whether they're fiction or nonfiction. Anytime an HBCU is mentioned, Howard is one of the ones. Spelman is another, but Howard is definitely up at the top of the list. And so it just felt surreal being there. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. It felt really nice. It felt really good. And I didn't pledge when I was in undergrad or graduate school. But if I had pledged, what do you think I would have been? I would have been AKA or the Delta. Which one do you think I would have pledged if you know me personally? Just take a guess. Put it in the comments. So after that, we went to the Martin Luther King Memorial. And if you've seen one of my previous videos, you know that I went to the National Civil Rights Museum while I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and that's at the Lorraine Hotel where Martin Luther King was actually assassinated. They turned it into an entire museum, and that was just such an emotional experience. So I felt like I came full circle when I went to the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. And also when I went to Lincoln's Memorial, and there was a spot and it said that Martin Luther King gave his speech here, and I think I got a picture of it. But I didn't realize that that big statue, statue of Lincoln is sitting in a chair, and he's overlooking a pond, and that's a reflection pond. And so I was like, okay, I get it. And but when I saw the reflection pond, all I could think about was the civil rights march that took place in Washington, D.C., and all of the people that would have been on both sides of the pond, you know. And then after that, I thought about Forrest Gump. you know, and Jenny! I thought about that. But it was a surreal experience to see, you know, the Lincoln Memorial. And then we went to the Capitol, and all I could think about was the Million Man March on Capitol Hill. And I just was like, wow. And one thing about me, I love visiting places that I've read about or, you know, seen on TV or something like that. Like I just like going to the actual place that I've seen but haven't visited before. If that makes sense. After that, we went to the national. No, I'm sorry. Where did we go? We went to the memorial, African American memorial for the civil rights. No, for the, I'm sorry, let me get my words together. It was the African American memorial for the Civil War. The Civil War. So this memorial has over 209 145, let me say that again, 209 145,000 names. I think it's in the Guinness World Book of Records for the most names on a memorial. And I had no idea that over 209,000 African Americans died in the Civil War. You know, that's not something I was taught in school. I didn't even know 209,000 African Americans, you know, fought in the Civil War, you know, because I know we didn't discuss how many people died, but like when you see it, reenactments, they act like they're really small batons that fought in the Civil War. But no, over 209,145 African Americans died in the Civil War. And each of their names is um, on this monument. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And so that was just sobering for me to realize that people that looked like me really gave their lives and bled and died in the Civil War. It was really sobering. I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to see it. And we were able to locate one of our ancestors, Thaddeus K. Sassborders. His name was on the monument. And so that just made it really personal for me. And I wonder if one of the names of your ancestors is on that wall. Go see it. I think it's listed by battalion. Very, very sobering, but a beautiful experience. I'm grateful that I went. Uh, Another thing that we did while we were there, and I want to get the name right. Okay, here we go. We went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. You know, I call it the museum that Obama built. And I've been wanting to go for years. Excuse me. Thank you. I've been wanting to go to this museum for years, ever since it opened. And so I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to go. Yes. And it was, I don't even know if I can find the words to describe my experience. I mean, it definitely was phenomenal. It was surreal. It was thought provoking. It was emotional. It was so many things, right? But it was beautiful. And I appreciate the museum. So it's 4 floors, and the first floor starts at the bottom. Well, the first floor is on the bottom, but it starts with our African history, and then going into the transatlantic slave trade, and um, one of the one of the exhibits, there's a wall and it has like the names of all of the ships. I'm not going to say all of them, but I'm going to say a lot of them, of the ships that made the transatlantic commute or passage. And it had how many bodies were entered at the beginning of the journey and how many people survived. And sometimes, it would be, let's say, I mean, I'm gonna say 500, but a lot of times they were more, thousands of people on these ships. But let's say 500 people started one time, and then 5 people survived. You know, so there was a wall full of names of ships with numbers like that, like a whole friggin' wall. And I'm just sitting back in amazement, like, look at all of these lives, like these numbers of lives. These are people that were transported. 1,550 souls departed, and 283 survived. I'm just looking at this stuff in amazement. It was so emotional. Oh, it was a lot. It's a lot. I do appreciate the fact that whoever designed this museum, the exhibits, they talked about how much prosperity and wealth African Americans have brought to this country. Um, so I did appreciate um, that aspect, because I don't think that's something that we're taught, how valuable we are and were, and how much we have contributed to the country. So that was really, 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 really beautiful. I didn't make it to the Emmett Till exhibit, because I only had limited time there. But I do want to go back and finish the first floor, and then climb all the way to the top. But it's really good, but it is heavy. It is heavy, but I think it's an experience that everyone that looks like me should have, and maybe those who don't, because it's educational as well. And I think that I didn't post a lot of pictures of the museum. I didn't post pictures of any of the exhibits because I just really felt like you have to go see it in person. I don't think the pictures would have done it justice, but there's a lot of interactive exhibits, and you get to interact. And I think it's phenomenal for children as well. I mean, the museum is really, really well done. I thoroughly enjoyed it. After you come from the first floor, there's a contemplative room. And it's, I have a picture of it here, but there's a big, like, waterfall, and it's just quiet in there, and you're able to decompress. When you're listening to the water trickle down, it's very soothing, and you're able to decompress from the experience that you just had coming out of slavery. While I was, so yeah, definitely it's a must do. It's a beautiful experience, but it is heavy. I if you looked at some of my previous videos, you know I like to have fine dining. So of course I couldn't leave Washington, well, Alexandria, Virginia, without having a nice dining experience because it was my birthday. This family reunion was held on my birthday weekend, which made it extra special. I what was I going to say? Oh, so I went to the restaurant. The name of it was 1799, and the owners of the restaurant were descendants of George Washington. And 1799 is the year that he gave their family their freedom. And that's why they named the restaurant 1799. But the food was marvelous. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the journey to Washington, D.C. with me that I shared with you. And I hope that you go and see the Smithsonian. It's beautiful.